You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.
Pirate fans, welcome into the show. Welcome to officially week 2 of the college football season. My good friend Jay Sonnhalter of ESPN is here with me tonight. Jay, how's it going?
I'm doing great. Week 2. Week 1 was awesome. Can't wait for what we see this weekend.
Week 1 was awesome, Jay. And, I figured we just do a quick recap, of week 1. And we said we'd have a little fun with these picks. So, Jay, I'm going to give you credit. I'm going to give you props. All right. You went 3-3. Not a bad first week.
Well, not bad, but not good at all. We'll have to, if we don't do good, we may not want to give our record. So we'll give it a couple weeks here.
Well, I officially had a losing record. I was 3-4, so I'm not exactly proud of it. But hey, you know what though, Jay? Like we talked about last week, week 1 is probably the toughest week of the season because you just don't have a lot to go on.
Right.
So
yeah. I mean, this is our opportunity for a comeback this week.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So just to kind of recap, Jay, and I'll just kind of go through really quickly before we go ahead and focus on week 2 here. But my losses, my most painful loss of the week was Utah in the swamp at Florida. I really thought Utah would get it done, but they 2 possessions inside the 5-yard line with 2 turnovers that ultimately cost them the game.
Yeah, that game was unbelievable. I mean, it's amazing, especially in week 1, but every week, how 1 play, 2 plays here could change the whole ball game.
Oh, no doubt about it. The turnovers in the red zone are definitely killers every time. So, we lost on Utah. We had Ohio State, Jay, minus 20.5. They won by 11, so we didn't get a cover there. And then the one we were both wrong on, surprisingly, was this one really surprised me. LSU losing to Florida State.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to predict LSU losing or not covering in the Dome down in New Orleans. But Florida State came in there, and they look like they're for real, and LSU's probably down too.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Not a great start to the Brian Kelly era in Baton Rouge, for sure. And then, Jay, am I correct? You're calling the East Carolina game this week, correct?
Yes, sir. So I'll be on the call this week, and then also next week as well for Campbell.
Okay, gotcha. That's great. And what were your thoughts on the East Carolina game against NC State? Obviously, a very painful loss.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, the first thing that sticks out about East Carolina is just how hard they play. I mean, the Pirates came out there in a great atmosphere against a rival and played so hard. Offense, defense, looked like they were, on fire. And just to see the improvement from the past couple of years to now is, I mean, it's huge. I mean, leaps and bounds, they're better. It was a tough ball game, tough ending, obviously, but I know they're excited to get out there for this week's game.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's the type of loss where you kind of want to get out there the next day as a player and just get right back at it. So it just kind of you can move away from it a little bit and start to focus on other things. But definitely a painful loss for the players. And we're gonna as the show goes on, we're gonna break down ECU versus ODU. But with that said, my friend, let's go ahead and jump into it. Okay.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
All right. So we have a decent slate of games this week. I in my opinion, I don't think they're quite as good as week 1, but a decent slate of games nonetheless. And, a big one at high noon in Austin, Texas, Jay. Number 1, Alabama goes into Austin to play the Longhorns. Alabama, last I checked, was a 20.5-point favorite. Jay, what are your thoughts here?
I'll tell you, it's hard for me to pick against Alabama. I just think they're on fire right now. you would think that Texas would be able to cover, but Alabama, it's going to be tough for Texas to score against their defense, and it's going to be tough for them to slow down the offense. So I'm going to say Alabama.
Okay. So, I gave this one a lot of thought, and I might surprise you a little with this pick, Jay. But I'll tell you why. Texas wants what Alabama has. They've been gearing up for this game for over 6 months. They've had this circled on the calendar. Interesting matchup between two former colleagues, Sarkisian and Nick Saban here. I think you're going to have a very motivated Texas team at home, hosting number one coming in. So, I think you're going to get Texas's best punch. I don't think it's going to be enough to win the game, Jay, but I'm going to go ahead and say Texas covers the spread. I think they'll lose by probably 14 or 17, but I think they'll cover the 20.5.
All right.
So
we got one difference.
One difference, right? That's all we had last week. So we'll see how it goes. All right. So you're locking in Bama?
Alabama.
All right. So Jay, moving right along. Pitt. This is actually a very interesting game, I think. Pittsburgh versus Tennessee. And this game it's in Pittsburgh. Pitt is a 6.5 point favorite at home against the Volunteers. Interesting line there. What are your thoughts on that one?
Boy, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have believed that if you would have said that would be the spread, because Tennessee blew out Ball State. I'm going to go with Pitt in this one, 6.5. I just have a feeling if that's the spread, maybe there's something Vegas doesn't know, or something we don't know that Vegas does. So I'm going to go with Pitt to cover.
Now, Jay, did you happen to catch the backyard brawl last week?
I saw part of it, but I was on my way to Kansas and out at dinner, so I didn't see the whole game.
Okay. It was a great game. I mean, it was good to have that game back on the schedule. I thought, a lot of points in that game. Pitt was able to pull through. I'm kind of looking at Tennessee here. If the game was in Tennessee, if it was at Tennessee, I'd be 100% on board with the Volunteers.
Right.
I think they do well at home, but I think it's going to be a very close game. I really like the quarterback for Tennessee, Hooker. He's a pretty dynamic player, great athlete. I think it's going to be a close game, but I do think Tennessee will outscore them when it's all said and done. And I think they'll win by at least a touchdown here. So I'm going to go Volunteers plus the 6.5, my friend.
Well, I'm just excited we have differences. This is great.
Exactly.
All right, lock those in, Maddie.
Locked in. Okay. Now, the next one here, Jay, we have the Kentucky Wildcats, who are ranked number 20. All right. At Ben Hill Griffin Stadium against number 12, Florida. Now, before I go over to you, Jay, this is really interesting. Florida was unranked going into last week against Utah. I picked them to lose. You picked them to lose. I was kind of blown away by Anthony Richardson. I'm going to eat crow in this one. If you could see over my shoulder, Jay.
Yep.
There's a Gator hat there. So I'm gonna eat crow on this one. Tough matchup in the swamp. What are your thoughts here?
What's the spread at, Maddie?
So we have Florida minus 5.5.
I'm gonna go Kentucky to cover.
Kentucky. Okay. All right.
My reasoning is Florida's coming off a huge victory. They may be up. Kentucky's always underrated. I'll go with Kentucky to cover.
So another tough one, man. I struggle with a lot of these picks. You look at. I remember back to the game last year in Kentucky. It was a great game. The Wildcats actually, won that game. Florida, after so many years. I mean, I don't know what it was, but it was like 20 years in a row of Florida beating Kentucky. Um, I was blown away by the quarterback Richardson for Florida. And just to throw some stats at you, Jay, Anthony Richardson was last week against Utah 17 for 24 passing for 168 yards, but he really beat him with his feet. 11 carries for 106 yards and 3 touchdowns. So he's a really dynamic athlete. He's big. He's a little bit like Cam Newton in terms of his size, and he can really extend plays and make people miss in the pocket. So, again, I was not expecting him to be that good. So, what a performance. And then you look at Kentucky, Jay, Will Levis, who's actually from my hometown in Middletown, Connecticut, played for Xavier High School. He was 21 for 32 for 303 yards and 3 touchdowns last week. So another good quarterback. So 2 really good, quarterbacks in this one. And then you have Napier versus Mark Stoops. Stoops has done an incredible job at Kentucky. But I'm going to go with the Gators at home this week, -5.5. I think they get it done.
There you go. All right, lock those in.
So what do we got here, Jay?
We got 3 differences.
3.
Hey, for our sake, I just hope one of us is really right and one of us is really wrong. If we both split these, that's not going to be any fun.
So, yeah, I agree. I mean, when I was looking at these, I had a hard time. I think they're really tough picks. I mean, you could be wrong on any one of them. But
it's hard every week, but especially week 1 and week 2 because you don't know how teams are going to react after week 1. So that's where it's tough because you don't really know. Some teams look amazing in week 1 and then they're not that good, and then some teams, surprise in week 1 and they are that good.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Jay. And before we kind of move forward with the next few picks, since you mentioned it, was there any team around the country? It doesn't have to be anybody we preview, but was there anybody that just kind of, really impressed you or surprised you in week 1?
Well, I mean, there was a lot of teams that did. I mean, I was surprised Notre Dame hung in there with Ohio State as much as they did for 3 quarters. I mean, they were in control for part of that ball game in a tough environment. So even though it was a loss, I was impressed by how they played.
Yeah, I mean, they really they played great on defense. I agree with you. I was surprised how they held Ohio State in check. No doubt there. The one that really, I mean, no big surprise here, but I think the team that impressed me more than anyone was Georgia.
Yeah.
I mean, good Lord. I mean, we both predicted a win, Jay, and I know you said they were going to roll over Oregon. And I thought Oregon would at least put up somewhat of a fight. I mean, they got absolutely humiliated by Georgia. It was like a pro team playing a high school team, not even in the same league. And I personally, I think Georgia should be number 1. In my opinion, I'm a little surprised they're not number 1 and Alabama's, I feel like, should be number 2.
Well, I think a lot of that probably has to do just with Saban. And even though Georgia won it last year, Georgia lost so many players. And at the end of the day, Alabama has Bryce Young and Will Anderson, and they're just going to give them the benefit of the doubt. But I don't disagree with you. I mean, I don't know how you could say Georgia isn't better when they won it last year. Right. They lose a bunch of guys. They come out and beat a top 15 team.
Yeah, no doubt. I feel like that's, something to look at as the season moves on. And I just feel like, in my opinion, I think Georgia's, number 1 and Alabama's number 2. But and then after that, it's kind of a bunch of teams fighting for position. But yeah, I was just very impressed by what they were able to do against Oregon. All right, Jay, moving right along here. Another interesting game. Baylor at BYU. Okay, and Baylor, just to give you the spread here. Okay, this is number 9 Baylor against number 21 BYU at home -3.5.
All right, so we got BYU at home, and they're favored by 3.5.
Favorite, yep, that's right.
I'm going to go with I'm going to go with Baylor to cover.
You like Baylor on the road? Okay.
To cover. I don't know if they like them to win, but I like them to cover.
Okay. All right. So another interesting, game I thought was really hard to pick. Baylor scored 70 points last week, so I was really impressed by that. And then I looked and see, they played Albany, which is like, playing a high school team. So,
Right.
it's hard to quantify 70 points on Albany. No disrespect to the Albany faithful. But and then BYU, Jay, conversely, they beat South Florida 50-21. So, two teams that can score a lot of points. The over, I kind of like the over in this one of 53.5. What are your thoughts there?
Oh yeah, I think that thing's going over for sure. I mean, I can't believe it's that low.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by that too. And I'm big on BYU this year. I like the quarterback. I know like the offense is absolutely loaded. They had 4 offensive linemen back, defense, and it's in Provo. So man, we're disagreeing a lot tonight, buddy.
I like it though. We need to see how we do next week. I mean, this is going to be good to see who is right, who is wrong.
Yeah, no doubt. So I'm going to take the Cougs in Provo to cover the 3.5 against Baylor, which is a tough task. A very tough task. All right. And then the next one, Jay, moving out west, moving out to the West Coast, the Pac-12, USC, Lincoln Riley's USC Trojans heading to Palo Alto to play the Stanford Cardinal.
Yep.
And we have USC here. Let me just confirm the line. USC -7.5 here, Jay.
I'm going to go with Stanford to cover.
You going Stanford?
I'm going against the grain this week just because USC had a huge victory week 1 for Lincoln Riley, all the transfers. They're playing Rice. How do you handle the publicity? How do you handle the success going on the road against a Stanford team that's always physical? And they haven't really been good the past couple of years. But it's going to be the Saturday night, prime game. So I think Stanford's going to cover.
All right, I like it. Is David Shaw still the coach at Stanford?
Yeah, he's still there.
Good Lord. I mean, he's got an incredible record at Stanford. He's got, I feel like that program, Jay, is like the quietest program in America. You never hear anything about Stanford. They were really never mentioned in Big Ten expansion, which surprised me a little bit. But he's a great coach. Yeah. He's done some awesome things there. I just feel like, when I look at this one, Caleb Williams, the transfer from Oklahoma, last week, 19 for 22 for 250 yards and two touchdowns. So he's very efficient. His first game at USC. I think it's going to be a good game, competitive, but I don't think Stanford's going to quite be able to keep up with the scoring pace against SC and Lincoln Riley. So I think USC gets it done. I think they cover in this one. And just to confirm, the line's 7.5. That's a tough line, but I'm going to go ahead and say that they cover here.
All right, I like it. Lock it in. All right, Jay. So let's just recap. Alabama, Texas. You have Bama. I have Texas. Pittsburgh, Tennessee. You have Pitt. I have Tennessee. Kentucky and Florida. You had Kentucky? Yes, sir. Kentucky to cover.
Okay. Baylor, BYU. You had Baylor, and then USC, Stanford. You had Stanford. Okay. I like it. Very different this week. And Jay, so that takes us into Greenville, a game that you're going to be calling for ESPN3 this week. the Pirates host Old Dominion at home minus 12.5. Now, let me just preface this, Jay. You're calling the game, so you can't make any picks on this particular game. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on it and what how you see this thing working
Well,
out.
I mean, I just think it's going to be a really interesting game for both teams because ODU beat Virginia Tech. So they feel really good about what happened in week one. And they're a talented team. I mean, they're really talented. They've got a wide receiver and a tight end that are all league type of players, NFL guys. So there's talent. And then East Carolina, played amazing, tough ending to the ball game, but they're looking to get back out on the field and really, go back to work this week during practice, get that taste out of their mouth. And I mean, we saw in that game against NC State how much talent East Carolina has and how hard the team was playing. So it's going to be a really fun matchup, and I think it's going to be a great game.
Yeah, no doubt. Jay, I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at the Virginia Tech ODU game yet. But did you think did you think OD's win was a sign of them being a really good team or more of Virginia Tech just having, and what I kind of observed as a team that appears to be down?
Well, yeah, I think in that ball game, the takeaways that I have were, I mean, Old Dominion has a lot of talent, and they beat Virginia Tech, and they, maybe there's a lot of things they left out on the field too, and it's only week one. So the thing is, you have to take into account with all these teams how much they improved throughout the season, how well they played, whether it was a win or loss, and kind of what the potential is. And I mean, when I see Old Dominion, they have a lot of players on their team. I mean, Virginia Tech made a lot of mistakes as well in that game, but Old Dominion does have a lot of talent.
Yeah, no doubt. I was watching that game and I came away very unimpressed with Virginia Tech. Just looking at them and just the overall talent. I thought their offense was mediocre at best. You're just used to seeing them, put a much more talented team on the field, and they really weren't able to run it. The quarterback was pretty inefficient. They turned it over. Their special teams were sloppy. So I think, to me, when I looked at it, I wasn't blown away with Old Dominion at all. I thought they just made less mistakes and they won the game. They were able to pull it out. But, with that said, I mean, what are your thoughts about the Old Dominion offense and the quarterback? I mean, do you think they're going to be able to come in to Greenville and score enough points to win the game?
I mean, we'll see. That's why I think it's such an interesting matchup because, they have a lot of talent on offense, and East Carolina. I mean, I was, just so it was amazing to see how hard the defense played and against NC State and how they really shut down the Wolfpack.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Jay, like when you look at that, when you look at both of these teams, it's interesting because I feel like East Carolina lost the game because of special teams. The special teams were really sloppy last week. A block punt for a touchdown, obviously the missed extra point and the missed field goal at the end of the game, really sealed their fate. And then I thought the kick return team didn't really perform very well. So I thought special teams overall was a major weakness last week for East Carolina. And then you look at ODU and they were able to make some great plays on special teams and score.
Well, special teams are always a huge facet in every game. And I'll tell you, though, the improvement, what happened in week one, whether it was good, bad, or in the middle for any team, doesn't mean it's going to continue to week two. So that's why I'm interested to see throughout the country, how these teams look, if they can play the same, if they can get better, or if they fall back. So it'll be interesting in all the games.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Jay, what were your thoughts on, when you look at the Pirates offensively, Holton Ahlers breaking in several new receivers that they were able to pick up, in the transfer portal. What was your thought on the offense, specifically the new receivers?
Well, I think there's a lot different personnels ECU can play with. I believe there's a lot of talent on that. 11 guys, the offensive line much improved, and there's talent out wide, depth in the backfield. So, I think East Carolina has a lot of playmakers.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And Bubba, if you want to chime in here, we're ready for you whenever you're ready. So we have Craig. Craig just sat here. And the comment is both ODU and ECU had games that were significant to their programs in week 1. It'll be interesting to see how each team competes in week 2. Jay, what are your thoughts there?
Well, I agree. I think both teams played really tough opponents, rivalry ball games. And, when you watch both teams play, they're both well coached. They play hard. And I think this is going to be a really fun matchup on Saturday.
Yeah, I do as well. I know, and again, Jay, I know you're calling the game, so I'm not going to put you on the spot at all here, but I know you have to remain, neutral on this one. But when I look at East Carolina, Mike Houston in year 4, I feel like this is his best team. I feel like he's done a really good job, very solid job building up the offensive line and the defensive line. We have a quarterback with a ton of experience. This is our game to lose, in my opinion. And I feel like at the stage we're at now as a program, I feel like this has to be a win for East Carolina. I really feel like you have to walk away from this with a record of 1-1 heading into week 3. And they just need to find a way to get it done, in my opinion.
Well, I'll tell you, both teams, again, they're going to want this game bad, and I agree with you. There's a lot on the line for East Carolina and for Old Dominion.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, Bubba, we have a comment from Chuck here. Bama wins 34-17 from Chuck. So I think that's a great pick. 17 points there. I think it's a nice pick from Chuck. What do you think?
Oh, I think, I'm just giving Alabama the benefit of the doubt on my end, but this Texas has talent, so they could definitely cover very easily.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's one of those games they're going to ride the home crowd. They're going to be jacked up. They're going to have, the adrenaline flowing. So I think they're going to try to keep it close. But we'll see what happens. You never know. And then there was a comment here from our own Kyle Barber. Old Dominion's propensity to block kicks, 6 block kick field goals, 4 block punts, and the special team woes we had in week 1. That's a great point, I think, by Kyle. ODU led the country in block kicks last year. Jay, so what are your thoughts there?
They've been really good on special teams. So it's definitely. Any team you face, when you see success that they've had on special teams, that concerns you because special teams can change the course of a game.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, and it does concern me with a rugby style punter, and considering what happened last week with Luke Larson having that punt blocked against NC State, I'm definitely a little concerned about the kicking game this week and if we can hold up, and perform there. So then, Bubba, I think we have a comment on Tennessee. And this is Bubba Rosenbaum, guys, producing tonight. And actually, we have a comment about App State. So talk about App State scoring 40 points in the fourth quarter and losing. I don't think I've ever heard of anything like that, Jay. Have you ever seen anything like that?
No, I haven't heard anything like that. I can't believe how bad the defense of UNC played to allow that.
Well, you were kind of on that last week. You definitely made mention of UNC's defensive woes in week 1.
I thought they played better. I mean, I thought they'd win, but I thought they'd play better. But they did win. They just didn't play any better on defense.
Yeah. I mean, I was very surprised about. I mean, that was a track meet. I mean, absolutely no defense. How do you score 40 points? I don't even know how that's possible, Jay. I've never heard of that before. But
Well, I mean, I'll tell you what. That's why you got to be able to run the ball and shorten the game up on the offensive side.
right, and that's a good point. And it's just surprising that two programs like that have so much talent, just playing no defense whatsoever in that game. And I know there's good offenses, but no defense at all. So they have work to do, both of those teams. And then another comment from Kyle Barber here. He didn't finish his thought. How do you keep the team from panicking if you're the coaching staff? If we have a special teams play go against us early, you want to jump on that one, Jay?
I just think with any team, I mean, you practice to make sure you clean up any mistakes and anything that happened in the game, and you watch film, and you have to go out there and be confident. And if a mistake happens on any side, you've got to regroup and respond. So I just think you can't worry about that stuff. And if something does happen for either team or any team, you've got to find a way to overcome that.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's a great point. I mean, I'm a little concerned about our kicker Owen Daffer. The kid's had a really tough week, obviously coming off of the NC State game, and the kid's taking a lot of criticism. He's taking a lot of heat. My feeling on this, Jay, and this is kind of me going off topic a little bit here. As fans, I think it's okay to criticize players' on-field performance to a point, but when people start making it personal, I have a big problem with that. There've been a lot of comments, negativity this week that I didn't, as a fan of the program, I didn't appreciate. So I'm really hoping Owen Daffer is able to put that behind him and have a big bounce back week.
He's a great player. I mean, on Saturday, we unfortunately didn't get the field goal, but for him, the biggest thing is just finding a way to overcome adversity and get back into your regular week of practice, go out there and be confident and do the best you can. And, I played tight end, I made mistakes. I had good moments. I had bad moments, but you just got to find a way to persevere through the bad times and just make sure you do everything in your power to execute.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, Jay, with that said, again, I know you can't comment on the final score, but I'm going to say the Pirates, get it done at home this week. I'm going to say we cover that point spread. I think it's going to be close. It's going to be a tight game, very competitive, but I think we'll just pull away a little bit at the end and win this game by at least 14. So, that's my pick, buddy.
It's going to be a good game. It's going to be awesome. 6:00 start. So fans, from both sides will have an opportunity to get there plenty of time, tailgate, and should be a good crowd. Yeah,
no doubt about it. Jay, when do you get into town for the game?
I'll be there. I'll be down there Saturday morning, Saturday early afternoon.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Another question here from Johnny Gardner. Bubba, you're the numbers guy. What was the attendance the last time ODU visited? So I don't have that exact number. Maybe Bubba. Here we go. 35,000 in 2018, Johnny. So I'm hoping that this is a well-attended game. Jay, do you anticipate over 40,000 for this game?
I do. I think it's going to be a good crowd.
Okay.
The best part about it is the sun's going to be down. It's going to be cooler.
Yeah. And that'll be nice to get away from the 12 o'clock kickoff, right?
Exactly. More tailgating time, too.
And then, Jay, a question here for you from Johnny. as the show wraps up. Thoughts on your trip into Big 12 country last week?
I'll tell you, Johnny, Kansas was awesome. It was beautiful campus. I'd never been there, but I had an opportunity to visit the basketball facilities, and it was unbelievable. And the football program there, they have Lance Leipold's second-year head coach. I was really impressed with him. And they're a team that's been struggling for many years now, but I think they've got it fixed. It's going in the right direction. So I'm excited to see how they do. But yeah, it's really cool being a different part of the country and being in the Big 12.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I'm sure it was a great experience, Jay. And it's awesome that you're calling the game for East Carolina ODU this week. It's great to have you back in Greenville here, and definitely looking forward to the game. So
yes, sir. Yeah, no, thanks, buddy. Yeah, I can't wait to be down there, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and I think it's going to be a really good game.
No doubt about it. So, with that said, Jay, we're going to go ahead and put a bow on this one. We're going to wrap up this show. I know, we're going to talk a little bit about our upcoming programming over the next few weeks, if Bubba wants to put that on the screen. But definitely some really fantastic programming here for the Sports Objective that we're excited about. Absolute Empowerment with Coach Connors had a huge following this week with an interview with Steve Logan that thousands of people tuned in for. And so many great shows throughout the course of the week. We preview on Pirate Preview. We preview the opponent for each week. The breakdown with Sutton Young, who's a guy who's doing a great job. Obviously, what we're doing here tonight, Jay. And then, more previews, the Inside Slant, Pirates Life for Me, Pulse of the Pirate Nation, and then obviously the Pirate Football Playback. So a lot of great programming this year that we're excited about. And, we just ask everybody to, join the show, comment, like and subscribe on YouTube and Facebook. And, we appreciate everybody watching. So any final thoughts, Jay?
No, I can't wait for game day this weekend. I think there's going to be fun games going on throughout the country, and just so glad that football is back and we have it every weekend.
No doubt, my friend. Well, hey, always a pleasure. Have a great call this weekend, and we will catch up next week.
Yes, sir. Thanks so much, buddy.
All right, pal. Take care.
You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates. Listen to the show pretty much everywhere podcasts are found. Be sure to follow us on social media at The Sports OBJ on Twitter and TikTok, at The Sports Objective on Instagram. Like and follow our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. As always, we appreciate you listening to the show. And go Pirates!